Well, we can get more now on those bruising results for the Conservatives. Last night, Labour reclaimed Wakefield in West Yorkshire, with its new MP saying the party is rebuilding the Red Wall. Simon Lightwood was elected with a majority of just under 5,000. Well, I'm joined now this morning by Mary Creagh, the former MP for Wakefield. Mary Creagh, good morning to you. A red brick back in the wall.
Absolutely. And as the red wall starts to crumble for the Tories, I think that many more will follow in that direction. It's very clear that the public has fallen out of love with Boris Johnson, and with apocalyptic food prices, with chaos at airports and problems with supply lines and scrapping of the HS2 leg to Leeds, that all the rhetoric they were promised about levelling up and the Northern Powerhouse has been forgotten, and the Tory party now looks like a project to keep one man in power.
Yeah, so what you're hearing is that the complaints of people who lent their votes, essentially, to the Tory party is that this is all about the man in charge.
Absolutely, and they want to know what's happened. They voted to get Brexit done, and what they're seeing is that it never seems to be done, and that the Prime Minister is proposing to broke the Oven-Red Treaty deal that he himself signed in order to appease some of the ultras in his own party. And they look at the queues on the M20 and the price of petrol going up and the price of food going up, and they ask, Britain isn't working for me. And I think people are tired. I think they're tired with politics as a chaotic farce. They're tired of sitting in the dark. They're tired of skipping meals, and they're tired of having to work for their own poverty. And I think Keir Starmer now has a big opportunity to get a fair hearing from some of those voters that we lost back in 2019.
Yeah, I mean, we talk a lot about the Red Wall, don't we? You'd think that it shouldn't be that difficult for the Labour Party to get it back, given the history of Labour up there in Wakefield. But the Tories lost far more votes than Labour gained. So Labour's going to have to do better, aren't they, if they're going to start rebuilding a solid foundation back again in that wall?
Simon's majority is bigger than any of my majorities post-2005. And don't forget, there was a bus strike in Wakefield and an independent candidate who took votes, whose power base really is in one of Wakefield Labour's safest areas. So I would say it's a thumping win. I think it bodes well for any future by-elections. It certainly bodes well for the general election. And I think now Labour's path and Labour's narrative needs to be building. They finally have a chance to be heard after such a difficult time, ridding the Labour Party of its toxic legacy of Jeremy Corbyn, supporting what the government was doing through COVID, and now the war in Ukraine. So it's been a very crowded couple of years for Keir Starmer's voice to be heard, but I'm confident that now it will be.
Is he the man, though, to win a general election? A recent poll by YouGov had 51% of adults saying he is doing badly as Labour leader, and 19%, tellingly, don't know.
Well, I think the 19% there, people haven't had a chance to get to know him, to hear what he has to say. But this is only the second time in a quarter of a century that Labour has taken a seat back off the Conservatives. And I think what that shows is that certainly on the doorstep in Wakefield, people were asking me, what's Labour's defence policy? So the Corbyn legacy lingers on, but people are now interested in what Labour has to say.
OK, and in terms of Labour strategy, you can sort of see the potency of tactical voting. What lessons for how you strategise going forward?
I think the Labour Party is a national party. It will be fielding candidates in every seat at the next general election. But I think we're seeing perhaps a return to the tactical voting that we saw back in 1997, where people are so repelled by the incumbents that they decide that they are going to vote for the candidate best placed to oust the incumbent Conservative. And I think we'll see a lot more of that going forward. But the Liberal Democrats never polled particularly well in Wakefield anyway, and this is around average for what we would see in normal times.
All right, Mary Creagh, good to talk to you. Thanks for your time this morning.